Okay, so welcome everyone and welcome to this webinar. Thanks for joining us today. So today we will focus on the SAP Digital Manufacturing Cloud and how it brings your manufacturing to the next level. In this session we will start with looking at the trends and challenges in manufacturing and then pair them up with SAP's Digital Manufacturing Cloud to understand how SAP responds to those challenges. And after that, we will have a look at the features and functions in the two main areas, which is execution and insights. And we will close that session today with highlighting major innovations in that manufacturing space and the Digital Manufacturing Cloud, and of course the Q&A. I want to highlight that this is the first webinar of our Industry 4.0 series. So today we focus, as you can see, basically on a first overview before we then dive into further details, also demos in the next sessions that will happen in the next few weeks. Yeah, so keep your ears and eyes open for the upcoming webinars. There will be some of you about asset management, others about manufacturing in the next few weeks. Before we get started, let me briefly introduce ourselves. So starting with Eugenia, who has a very strong SAP background in planning and manufacturing and asset management, and is part of our Industry 4.0 team. We also have Alex here today with us, who's focused on Industry 4.0 and with that on, of course, the SAP Digital Manufacturing Cloud, but also Intelligent Asset Management portfolio. My name is Matthias. I'm since more than 10 years working in the SAP space, focusing on SAP supply chain management and IoT, and in my current role leading our global Industry 4.0 practice. Before we get started, just a few things to highlight here. So everyone will be muted here throughout the webinar, but you can raise your questions on the right hand side in the chat box. We will collect those questions throughout the presentation and then we'll answer them in the dedicated Q&A session. So again, as mentioned, so feel free to reach out to us via this chat box. The duration will be approximately 45 minutes, including that Q&A. And of course, it's also mentioned here the presentation will be recorded and we make it then accessible via a link that we send to you afterwards. All right, so brief overview who we are, who is Westernacher in a nutshell. So we are an SAP Gold partner with a history of more than 50 years, more than 650 consultants globally, spanning from the Americas, Europe to Asia. And I think something special about us that we are 100% employee owned with more than 200 shareholders that are active employees at Westernacher. And what do? We basically cover the SAP Digital Supply Chain solution portfolio from planning to manufacturing up to the logistics execution, and all of this fully integrated into S/4HANA ERP and of course also finance. For today, the three of us that you're meeting today, we are part of this, as I mentioned, Industry 4.0 team that focuses on the aspects of asset management and manufacturing with SAP technology. And with that, our team is basically bridging the planning and the logistics execution side, but also, of course, integrating machines, so the OT world and processes. Yeah, so we also cover the topic of IoT basically. And Industry 4.0 is something we tackle basically from an IoT, from IT and business angle. So now looking into the challenges of manufacturers, we typically see, of course, the high quality product that is the center of the focus. As you probably all know, one of the pretty much traditional areas of production is efficiency. since years, manufacturers want to produce that specific high quality product with a maximum of productivity. And of course, still this is one of the key areas to focus on. But there are also other areas, such as, for example, sustainability, that become more and more important to ensure the continuity of processes, to also increase worker safety. But also regulations will force companies to prioritize sustainability. And the third one is certainly agility. In order to provide individualized products and services, which is something customers are asking for, you need to be able to offer that agility, and also need to be able to increase the speed to market with your products. And certainly there are the technology enablers that basically support manufacturers in those dimensions. Just to give you some examples, it's, for example, robotics, augmented reality that help in definitely increasing the efficiency. We have things such as additive manufacturing or cloud computing that push agility. But there's also big data, IoT, that help to provide the transparency that is required, and also the real-time information to be able to analyze the sustainability. So seeing this, it's clear that the technology is one key enabler to tackle those challenges. When we look at this more in terms of the different levels of a company, we often see on that enterprise level a lack of transparency across the plants and the network, because most of the customers that we're working with, they're global customers, they're really lacking on one cross plant and network transparency. And because they're often data silos, there are individualized, non-integrated systems that basically in the end make it then impossible to work on same KPIs and also to derive informed decision on that level, to in the end then help pushing this orchestration and leveraging of those global production capabilities. On plant level, we see the challenge on the top floor to shop floor integration, providing live insights basically from the machines up to the top floor. So this is basically the vertical integration that we're looking at, that customer really having challenges with, but also at the same time basically bridging the production planning and the execution, so the horizontal integration. When we look at production line level, of course, customers and companies are faced with integration of those various different machine vendors, different types of machines that all have their own kind of way of communication, protocols, which then leads to complications in the information and also production flow, which then in the end leads to higher manual efforts and inefficiencies. So looking at these multi-dimensional challenges, we now see SAP basically addressing those with the Digital Manufacturing Cloud. And Eugenia will now take over and will dig a bit deeper into how SAP responds to those challenges.
Okay, so to address the challenges Matthias just mentioned before, today we'll introduce you to SAP Digital Manufacturing Cloud, or DMC as we will call it from now on. The new manufacturing innovation platform that will allow you to boost your manufacturing performance. So let's start with an overview of the key benefits and capabilities of DMC. Firstly, DMC is a cloud manufacturing execution system of near real-time data and analytics built on Cloud Foundry and running on SAP Business Technology Platform. DMC is going to enable you to run your manufacturing processes and analyze manufacturing and business data. Since it's deploying on the cloud, it's going to decrease the implementation complexity, so you can actually access your software from any web browser, while also meeting compliance and safety requirements, of course. Then this cloud solution is actually adapted to discrete and process industry, So you'll be able to manage your production orders and batch-oriented process orders. Next, one of the main highlights of DMC is that you will improve your global visibility across all plants by connecting your top floor business systems to your shop floor equipment. This is actually going to provide transparency over all the production processes and will make you gain faster and more consistent insights. And finally, DMC is an integrated and extensible solution from the start. So you'll have actually an end-to-end process visibility by integrating it to other SAP systems, like for example EWM, ME, MII, etc. Or even you can integrate it to third-party systems. You can also add extensions. Bring your own analytical models, for example, machine learning algorithms and custom applications to design and fit DMC to your own needs. So within DMC, we will find two main modules, as we can see here, insights and execution. So on the one hand, manufacturing execution is an MES running on the cloud that will allow you to monitor and execute production operations down to the individual work center with an out-of-the-box integration to SAP ERP and S/4HANA. On the other hand, we have manufacturing insights that will help you gain real-time visibility by monitoring the performance of the production process from an enterprise to a plant level. And you can also track here the resources, people and machines to assess progress and understand, for example, the cost and impact of driving new improvements in your process. So within these two main modules, we can also find resource orchestration that will allow you to schedule and dispatch operations to appropriate work centers and resources to effectively utilize the machine and labor resources on the shop floor. Then we have automation that it will enable engineers and operators to control machines without human intervention. We see here manufacturing network that will, with this manufacturing network functionalities, you will be able to extend your IT landscape and collaborate with network partners like customers, suppliers, original equipment manufacturers, and other service providers. And finally, we have the Asset Central Foundation that enables to centrally manage asset information for multiple in-house solutions and over all the business partners. So within this database, we will find master data and transactional data as equipment templates or work orders, for example. So as we can see, DMC is made to easily communicate with SAP IoT for plant connectivity and machine automation, as well as S/4HANA for transactional and master data. So after this introduction and overview of DMC solution, we will now deep dive into SAP DMC for execution. So first of all, DMC for execution will enable you to optimize your manufacturing execution by monitoring the entire manufacturing process and by reacting quickly to unexpected events, by also monitoring, for example, the overall equipment effectiveness. So it is a fully configurable solution that supports role-specific applications and provides intuitive user interfaces for production operators on the shop floor. Within execution, we find, as mentioned before, the resource orchestration applications. This module supports shop floor and labor assignments, so you'll be able to dispatch and sequence operations to reflect the real world in the short term. Also, DMC provides an integrated execution, allowing an end-to-end integration across different domains. So you'll have a tight integration to production planning when receiving the production orders, and also the possibility to integrate EWM module by increasing the visibility in logistics execution. So finally, with manufacturing automation, thanks to the cost-effective and resource-efficient integration provided by SAP IoT technology, you will automatize production activities through the shop floor, such as, for example, the start and completion of an operation, or even you'll be able to enforce activities such as data collection. Okay, so now let's take a step further and take a look into DMC for execution main functionalities. Here we can see how DMC supports the execution tasks and the work-in-progress management by integrating the production supervisor actions with the production operator tasks. So, on the one hand, the supervisor will be able to manage and release the orders for execution on the shop floor. These production and process orders are integrated in DMC from production planning. Actually, once an order is released in SAP ERP or S4, it appears visible in the manage orders applications in DMC. So, on the other hand, once the order is released, the operator will use a configurable production operator dashboard, or what we call POD, to capture and report the execution data. So within this POD, the operator will be able to capture the start and completion of the operations or phases within the production process. We'll be able to record the assembly of components or the consumption of batches. We'll be able to view work instructions, report non-conformances and alerts, and collect production data. So the production operator dashboard is fully configurable and designed based on each user requirements. So since different operator groups do different jobs, you can configure the PODs to display the data formatted, of course, in different ways and to perform different activities for each operator group. So, for example, you can create one interface for assemblers, one for testers, and one for packers. It's going to provide you a modular plugin layout that can be configured without the need of any custom code or enhancements. And anyways, DMC is going to provide standard pre-configured PODs that are available and that you can use as a starting point to then design your own PODs. So let's see in a concrete example how POD would work for the discrete industry. First, the production supervisor will release a shop order and automatically a shop floor control or SFC number will be created and placed in queue at the first step on the routing. The SFC is a unique identifier that will help us track the product at any time on the shop floor. So once the supervisor releases the order, then the operator at the first routing step is going to start the SFC number in the POD, and we'll be able to assemble the components and perform the actions we mentioned before. So check the work instructions, log non-conformances, raise alerts, and collect data. So when the operator finishes working with the SFC, he's going to complete it in the POD, and the system will automatically place the SFC in the queue at the next routing step. So all the operations are completed, the goods receipt is triggered automatically by the system, and then the operation is completed. So all in all, you can see that DMC is allowing you to manage and monitor the shop floor production operations. Also, we can see here DMC is going to support manual or automated data collection. So data collection allows you to record traceability and ensure production quality by monitoring adherence to production specifications and by validating collected data against predefined limits. So data is collected using user-defined parameters assigned to data collection groups and can be collected manually through the POD or automatically from the machine integration layer. So automatic data collection can be used, for example, when configuring an industrial camera for visual inspection of semi-finished goods or finished goods. So in this scenario, we would capture and send images to DMC to be treated by machine learning models for visual inspection. So this is a good case on how we could use data collection. Another key functionality of DMC is that it will capture the digital twin of the production process for reporting and tracking. With the product history report and the product genealogy report, we can display the activity of an SFC or a batch, over the time, and also the details of the data collected during the production process. For example, temperature, pressure, and so on. We can also display the assembly record of the product by tracking what components go into what product and when, and any additional data shared by the supplier of the components, for example. Finally, resource orchestration is the last but not least functionality I would like to highlight today, that will allow you to orchestrate labor and resources on the shop floor to achieve maximum availability. How does it work? A Gantt chart will display the planning situation, and thanks to the tight integration to the operator POD that we have just presented, whenever an order changes of status, for example, is in progress, you will see the changes in this Gantt chart. So you will visualize the reality of the shop floor and be able to react quickly to unexpected events, thanks to the alerts management, including, for example, operation alerts, machine breakdowns, and even missing labor. So it's providing multiple options for dispatching the operations. You can, for example, do it manually or automatically through advanced heuristics or machine learning algorithms. Another key functionality provided by the resource and orchestration applications is being able to schedule the labor. You'll be able to assign shifts and resources to the operators, considering labor qualification and certification. You can actually keep track of the shift plan for a worker and reassign the resources based on their availability. Also, you can visualize through the KPIs the status of the selected week by comparing available capacity versus planned capacity. And another very useful feature within this scheduled labor application is being able to send emails to the workers with the details about his complete shift schedule for the calendar week, for example. So finally, the resource orchestration applications are integrated. So you'll be able to display the scheduled labor within the dispatch and monitoring Gantt chart. So with only one application, you will centralize the monitoring activities, and you will be able to assign or modify the scheduled operators. Okay, so as we have mentioned before, DMC has two key modules. Now that I have gone through the main functionalities of DMC for execution, I will hand over to Alex so that he can introduce you to DMC for Insights.
Okay, then let's jump right into the Digital Manufacturing Cloud for Insights. At the beginning, I'd like to mention that it is a challenge really for any company to transform existing data into enriching insights. So it is therefore important to answer the questions of what data is really relevant, how the data is to be processed, and also what information should the data be contextualized with. And of course, you need the software to process all of this data. So in manufacturing, SAP is tackling these challenges in the future with the DMCI. So this application helps you to generate insights from your manufacturing data, and in general combines the following four major capabilities. Starting on the top left, I'm going to go around clockwise. As different information is needed for different levels within the company, DMCI includes the functionality of representing the entire hierarchy of a company. So this allows various analysis to be carried out at multiple different levels. If that is from an enterprise level or all the way down to a resource or a work center. So secondly, as Eugenia has already mentioned, the closed shop floor connection is achieved by directly integrating the various physical objects on the shop floor. So this enables a direct and central management of these physical objects, and you can perform real-time analysis or near real-time analysis on it. So, but in order to get a holistic overview and make the analysis even more valuable, the data has to be contextualized with information from other business sources to achieve this horizontal integration. So this is why multiple adapters and interfaces are provided to ensure that all commonly used communication formats can be integrated into the insight solutions. And lastly, also a big strength of the insight solution is that it has a high configurability. So companies can really decide what KPIs they want to use, if this is either standard KPIs or customized KPIs, and they can also customize their dashboards as they wish. As mentioned in the previous slide, there are multiple hierarchy levels within an enterprise. So from an application perspective, SAP has separated the plant and the global view, where you can monitor the trends of the KPIs regarding the productivity, the quality, and the delivery of products on different levels. So the KPIs are thereby displayed in respect to their defined thresholds for an individual period of time. So if these thresholds, for example, are exceeded, the KPI is going to be shown as red. If everything is okay, then it will be shown as green. So making use of the global insights functionalities, top-level managers are enabled to compare products and general manufacturing processes across different plants and regions. So, and they can depict it on an intuitive geographic map or a chart view, as you can see on the screenshots on the right-hand side. Regarding the plant insights application, you're able to monitor your whole plant and compare different KPIs within this plant in one distinct application. Now we're going on to the KPI Analytics application, which is essentially, or which basically represents the lowest of the hierarchical monitoring structure. So within this application, you can essentially display individual KPIs configured to the needs of the respective user. So because of that, you can rapidly deploy a monitoring system, giving each executive or operator the respective information he needs in order to perform an optimized production process or to take corrective actions if they are required. Additionally, within the KPI Analytics, you can find and display the contributors to a KPI and also drill down to the root causes that affect this KPI. The data an executive or operator sees thereby is defined by setting different authorizations for different roles. So you're essentially, you can assign and unassign any permits you like to different roles as you wish. Okay, then let's have a deeper look into the standard or pre-delivered KPIs by SAP. And as a best practice for manufacturing, the overall equipment effectiveness analyzes the availability, the performance, and the quality of a machine. So this KPI can be measured, for example, on the level of a production machine or a production line or a work center, among others. So you may remember that it was also mentioned within the context of the manufacturing execution application. So the real strength of the DMCI is not that it serves as a tool where you can determine the OEE of the specific or a specific product, but that it serves as a data hub where you where the different OEEs from different systems, whether that is SAP or third-party systems, can be consolidated and can be compared with each other. So based on these insights and these comparisons of the OEE, you can then again improve the productivity of your manufacturing equipment. Besides the OEE and of course other standard KPIs you can configure, you can leverage on, you can also configure your own KPIs within the analytical modeler, which is basically a framework enabling companies to configure custom KPIs with their preferred objects and measurements. So broken down, the basic procedure is always the same. So you first define and select your master objects, whether that is a material, an operation, or plants, and on which levels you want to analyze them. So for example, on the level of a work center. Then you define your formulas, which process the data as you wish. For example, you could measure the first pass yields of a material at a certain work center. And lastly, you choose how this data shall be visualized. So this can be done within the dashboard designer, which is basically a tool where you can configure your dashboards as you wish. So, sorry. As you have seen, the Insight solution is highly configurable and adaptable. Whether or not you have an SAP system, SAP ERP system, or third-party manufacturing system, or other business system. DMC for Insights is able to directly consolidate and harmonize the data from these different systems, and can therefore use this data as a basis for standard and advanced analytics. As you can depict any hierarchy node within a company, you can start, for example, implementing the Insight solution on the top level, and therefore gaining insights into your general enterprise KPIs and compare different plants and regions. But you could also start on a plant level, improving the manufacturing processes of segregated productions, and then adding plants from time to time. Further, you can utilize the advantages of the cloud as a really secure and scalable environment. And you're actually using only the functionalities you need, and also only pay for the actual access behavior you have. So to summarize this, the DMCI is a very lightweight solution, as it is sitting within the cloud, enabling a rapid integration into your existing system landscapes to make use of your manufacturing data. Also, through its capabilities of extensibility, it can be adapted to your specific needs and be scaled up quickly, whether that is in your access quantity or the scope of the functionalities you want to use. As there are functionalities that are integrated elements of the DMCI and the DMCE, but are still standing out from the others, we present them separately within the key innovations of the DMC. Starting with the machine modeler. So the machine modeler is the abstraction layer between the DMC and the shop floor. It reflects the physical objects on the production floor and connects it with the DMC, creating basically a digital twin. So thereby the communication is bidirectional. So where machines can trigger business processes within the DMCI, and the DMCI can trigger production processes directly on the controls of the individual machines. So through this tight vertical integration, the data can be transferred in near real time, enabling the direct monitoring of the processes on the shop floor, and of course allowing again a fast reaction to unexpected incidents. With the shop floor designer, you are able to create your own production processes from a business logic perspective. So you can combine your business and your production processes in one single application. So in the past, the business processes, process definition, and the technical setup of the production processes on the shop floor were basically two separate things. But within the DMC, you can create your own processes within the cloud and deploy them to the production floor. So this provides the advantage of managing your processes centrally instead of programming each machine and device individually. So it allows production engineers and business executives to work together on one application, and also enables them to adapt the processes quickly in one location if that is necessary. Another key functionality is that of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So machine learning represents a very powerful tool when it comes to insights, because through it, patterns can be identified with historic or based on historic data and compared with the real-time incoming data. So based on this automated identifying of patterns, processes can be optimized as decisions are conducted by the algorithms themselves. An example for that would be that of visual inspection. Here, an algorithm analyzes the quality of a product based on the photo of this specific product and compares it with the historic data. And then again, based on that algorithm, it decides whether the quality is okay or not, and then either scraps it or sends it to the next operation. At last, the SAP Manufacturing Network is a result of the SAP's effort to make collaboration between customers and suppliers faster and also more efficient. So it is a platform for an efficient and secure communication where customers can connect to suppliers, original equipment manufacturers, and service providers. And the collaboration takes place in so-called collaboration rooms where matters of production design optimization, quality inspection, or pricing, for example, can be discussed. But at this point, it has to be said that in the future, the manufacturing network shall be consolidated with the other networks, such as the logistics network or the asset intelligence network, so that you have everything on one platform. Okay, now we have talked a lot about how the DMC can be integrated into other systems. And within the last slide, we just wanted to give you an overview on how this could actually look like. On the right-hand side, you can see the integration of an asset management solution, in this case, the AIN, SAP AIN, which is crucial when it comes to optimizing the collaboration between the manufacturing processes and the maintaining of your assets. Also, when you look on the left-hand side, you can see that it's also integratable to the extended warehouse management, where you can leverage from seamless goods transfer between the warehouse and the manufacturing site. So this integration will actually be subject of our next webinar within 2 weeks. So if you're interested, tune in. We will be happy to show it to you guys. Additionally, there are other scenarios. For example, the integrated business planning, where you can optimize the planning of your production, or the SAP Analytics Cloud, where you can basically share insights from the DMC insights to the Analytics Cloud, and also the other way around. And finally, we have the already mentioned out-of-the-box integration to the S/4HANA platform and the shop floor integration through either SAP Pico or production plant connectivity or SAP Edge solutions.
Okay, Alex, so I'm just looking at the time. So I think with that deep dive now into the execution and the insights component, and also now Alex is talking about the major innovations that are basically cross DMI and DMCI and DMC I think we basically covered what we have planned for today. As already mentioned multiple times, in the next few sessions we will also get more details. We'll deep dive into certain aspects of it. But having said that, let's have a look at the questions that we have received so far. And if there's still some questions, just use the chat box and post them. I'm just now checking. I think there's basically 2 questions going into the same direction. I think it's quite a typical question that we see. in terms of okay, what is it? What is the advantage of running now this manufacturing not in an on-premise but a cloud system, and especially then also comparing SAP ME and the DMC. So basically there are multiple advantages, and this really depends then also on the individual case. But just to give you some examples here of those advantages. Of course, cloud and the nature of the cloud brings this continuous flow of new features, on a quarterly basis, which you don't have an on-premise system, where you basically have to run major upgrade projects once in a while. So with the DMC, you basically receive those updates every quarter and basically benefit from those innovations when SAP releases them. And another topic, of course, is also the subscription model, which can be very interesting from my point of view. And we've seen also customers looking at this really from an ROI point of view, and especially also that typically those cloud implementations are leaner. So it's less effort basically to implement cloud applications compared to on-premise systems. Which is of course also a major advantage. And of course, again, the nature of a cloud, it is much easier to onboard external parties, especially if you want to push that idea of a network or a cross-company collaboration where you onboard also your suppliers or customers. So it's basically a long list. So this is just a few, and what we typically do is so we have those individual discussions with different companies to really identify their specific case, why DMC would be a very interesting scenario to look at. Then there is one more targeting into the also typical question that we see is, okay, what is the difference now of what we have now presented with the DMC compared to what everyone in SAP knows from the MII and ME space? Probably something, Alex, you want to tackle?
Sure, no problem. So based on the functionalities, there are no major differences. So the DMCI and the SAP MII and SAP ME systems are tackling the same functionalities, which I would say is an advantage. Advantage, of course, is that it is an integrated solution. So within the DMC, you have the insights part, and you also have the execution part combined with the resource orchestration and also the execution, the automation parts, and so forth. So you have a seamless integration. Further, as you mentioned before, Matthias, you can leverage out the advantages of the cloud. And I guess the most important advantage is from the DMC that with the SAP RISE initiative that you probably have heard of, SAP is moving into the cloud. So the roadmap, there's a clear roadmap for the DMC, and it will basically be the manufacturing solution within the future of SAP.
There's one more question asking about, it goes more into the hyperscaler topic, what cloud providers can be chosen to host DMC. So to answer that, so basically the DMC is running on the business technology platform, so formerly known cloud platform, SAP Cloud Platform, and so it runs on BTP basically, and with that you have the hyperscalers that SAP is providing, AWS, Google, Microsoft, etc., Alibaba. So these are the typical cloud hyperscalers that can be chosen then. But it's same for BTP, so it follows the BTP logic here, so business technology platform logic. Any other questions? Not. Just wait another few seconds. Okay, I don't see any other questions popping up. If there's still some questions, feel free to reach out to us. If you can see our contact details, we are going to share that recording also with you. So again, revisit it. Please feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, watch out for our next webinars, and yeah, thanks a lot for joining this session today. And then yeah, basically looking forward to meet you in some of the next few sessions of this series. And yeah, thanks again, and have a great day, and yeah, goodbye.